For your incorruptible spirit is in all things. Therefore you chasten them little by little that offend, and warn them by putting them in remembrance wherein they have offended, that leaving their wickedness they may believe on you, O Lord. For it was your will to destroy by the hands of our fathers both those old inhabitants of your holy land, whom you hated for doing most odious works of witchcraft and wicked sacrifices, and also those merciless murderers of children, and devourers of man's flesh, and the feasts of blood, with their priests out of the midst of their idolatrous crew, and the parents that killed their own hands' souls destitute of help, that the land that you esteemed above all other might receive a worthy colony of God's children. Nevertheless, even those you spared as men, and did send wasps, forerunners of your hosts, to destroy them by little and little. Not that you were unable to bring the ungodly under the hand of the righteous in battle, or to destroy them at once with cruel beasts, or with one rough word. But by your judgments upon them little by little, you gave them place of repentance, not being ignorant that they were a naughty generation, and that their malice was bred in them, and that their cogitation would never be changed. For it was a cursed seed from the beginning, neither did you for fear of any man give them pardon for those things wherein they sinned. For who will say, What have you done? Or who will withstand your judgment? Or who will accuse you for the nations that perish, whom you made? Or who will come to stand against you, to be revenged for the unrighteous men? For neither is there any God but you that cares for all, to whom you might show that your judgment is not unright. Neither will king or tyrant be able to set his face against you for any whom you have punished. For so much then as you are righteous yourself, you order all things righteously, thinking it not agreeable with your power to condemn him that is not deserved to be punished. For your power is the beginning of righteousness, and because you are the Lord of all, it makes you to be gracious to all. For when men will not believe that you are of a full power, you show your strength, and among them that know it, you make their boldness manifest. But you, mastering your power, judge with equity, and order us with great favor, for you may use power when you will. But by such works have you taught your people that the just man should be merciful, and have made your children to be of a good hope, that you give repentance for sins. For if you did punish the enemies of your children, and the condemned to death, with such deliberation, giving them time and place, whereby they might be delivered from their malice, with how great circumspection did you judge your own sons, to whose fathers you have sworn, and made covenants of good promises. Therefore, whereas you do chasten us, you scourge our enemies 1,000 times more, to the intent that, when we judge, we should think carefully of your goodness, and when we ourselves are judged, we should look for mercy. Therefore, whereas men have lived dissolutely and unrighteously, you have tormented them with their own abominations. For they went astray very far in the ways of error, and held them for gods, that even among the beasts of their enemies were despised, being deceived, as children of no understanding. Therefore to them, as to children without the use of reason, you did send a judgment to mock them. But they that would not be reformed by that correction, wherein he dallied with them, will feel a judgment worthy of God. For look, for what things they have grudged, when they were punished, that is, for them whom they thought to be gods, now being punished in them, when they saw it, they acknowledged him to be the true God, whom before they denied to know, and therefore came extreme damnation upon them. Surely vain are all men by nature, who are ignorant of God, and could not out of the good things that are seen know him that is, Neither by considering the works did they acknowledge the workmaster, but deemed either fire or wind or the swift air or the circle of stars or the violent water or the lights of heaven to be the gods that govern the world, with whose beauty, if they being delighted took them to be gods, let them know how much better the Lord of them is, for the first author of beauty has created them. But if they were astonished at their power and virtue, let them understand by them how much mightier he is that made them. For by the greatness and beauty of the creatures proportionally the Maker of them is seen. But yet for this they are the less to be blamed, for they peradventure err, seeking God and desirous to find him. For being conversant in his works they search him diligently, and believe their sight, because the things are beautiful that are seen. Howbeit neither are they to be pardoned. For if they were not to know so much, that they could aim at the world, how did they not sooner find out the Lord thereof? But miserable are they, and in dead things is their hope, who call them gods, which are the works of men's hands, gold and silver, to show art in, and resemblances of beasts, or a stone good for nothing, the work of an ancient hand. Now a carpenter that fell timber, after he has cut down a tree meet for the purpose, and taken off all the bark skillfully round about, and has wrought it handsomely, and made a vessel thereof fit for the service of man's life, and after spending the refuse of his work to dress his meat, has filled himself, and taking the very refuse among those which served to no use, being a crooked piece of wood, and full of knots, has carved it diligently, when he had nothing else to do, and formed it by the skill of his understanding, and fashioned it to the image of a man, or made it like some vile beast, laying it over with vermilion, and with paint coloring it red, and covering every spot therein. And when he had made a convenient room for it, set it in a wall, and made it fast with iron. For he provided for it that it might not fall, knowing that it was unable to help itself, for it is an image, and has need of help. Then he makes prayer for his goods, for his wife and children, and is not ashamed to speak to that which has no life. For health he calls upon that which is weak, for life he prays to that which is dead. For aid humbly beseeches that which has least means to help, and for a good journey he asks of that which cannot set foot forward, and for gaining and getting, and for good success of his hands, asks ability to do of him, that is most unable to do anything. Again, one preparing himself to sail, and about to pass through the raging waves, calls upon a piece of wood more rotten than the vessel that carries him. For truly desire of gain devised that, and the workman built it by his skill. But your providence, O Father, governs it, and you have made a way in the sea, and a safe path in the waves, showing that you can save from all danger, yea, though a man went to sea without art. Nevertheless, you would not that the works of your wisdom should be idle, and therefore do men commit their lives to a small piece of wood, and passing the rough sea in a weak vessel are saved. For in the old time also, when the proud giants perished, the hope of the world governed by your hand escaped in a weak vessel, and left to all ages a seed of generation. For blessed is the wood whereby righteousness comes. But that which is made with hands is cursed, as well it as he that made it, he because he made it, and it because, being corruptible, it was called God. For the ungodly and his godliness are both alike hateful to God. For that which is made will be punished together with him that made it. Therefore even upon the idols of the Gentiles will there be a visitation, because in the creature of God they are become an abomination, and stumbling blocks to the souls of men, and a snare to the feet of the unwise. For the devising of idols was the beginning of spiritual fornication, and the invention of them the corruption of life. For neither were they from the beginning, neither will they be forever. For by the vainglory of men they entered into the world, and therefore will they come shortly to an end. For a father afflicted with untimely mourning, when he has made an image of his child soon taken away, now honored him as a god, that was then a dead man, and delivered to those that were under him ceremonies and sacrifices. Thus in process of time an ungodly custom grew strong, was kept as a law, and graven images were worshipped by the commandments of kings, whom men could not honor in presence, because they dwelt far off. They took the counterfeit of his visage from far, and made an express image of a king whom they honored, to the end that by this their forwardness they might flatter him that was absent, as if he were present. Also the singular diligence of the artificer did help to set forward the ignorant to more superstition. For he, peradventure willing to please one in authority, forced all his skill to make the resemblance of the best fashion. And so the multitude, allured by the grace of the work, took him now for a god, which a little before was but honored. And this was an occasion to deceive the world. For men, serving either calamity or tyranny, did ascribe to stones and stocks the incommunicable name. Moreover, this was not enough for them, that they erred in the knowledge of God, but whereas they lived in the great war of ignorance, those great plagues they called peace. For while they slew their children in sacrifices, or used secret ceremonies, or made revellings of strange rites, they kept neither lives nor marriages any longer undefiled, but either one slew another traitorously, or grieved him by adultery, so that there reigned in all men without exception blood, manslaughter, theft, and dissimulation, corruption, unfaithfulness, tumults, perjury, disquieting of good men, forgetfulness of good turns, defiling of souls, changing of kind, disorder in marriages, adultery, and shameless uncleanness. For the worshipping of idols not to be named is the beginning, the cause, and the end of all evil. For either they are mad when they be merry, or prophesy lies, or live unjustly, or else lightly forswear themselves. For insomuch as their trust is in idols, which have no life, though they swear falsely, yet they look not to be hurt. Howbeit, for both causes will they be justly punished, both because they thought not well of God, giving heed to idols, and also unjustly swore in deceit, despising holiness. For it is not the power of them by whom they swear, but it is the just vengeance of sinners, that always punishes the offense of the ungodly.